Bowman podcast time.
Well, that's right. Binford Tools is proud to present a Santa Claus podcast. My name is Adam Yola, my co-host Jordan. Hey, Jordan.
Hey, I didn't know you were going to make that a regular thing.
It's a regular thing, and I saw your face as I did it, and it was so happy.
Was that rewarding for you? This is why we record with our videos on now.
It's true. You're not looking at the screen generally, looking back at me.
I got two screens right now, so I got my notes over here on the big screen. I've got your lovely face over there. So.
Yeah, well, what I'm worried about is on the other screen, you're doing work for another podcast. Goes by the name of Grunt Work.
I would never.
You promise?
Wouldn't even consider it. You think they're still recording? You think they're still recording?
You know,
they gotta be.
They gotta be. I mean, they were.
You make it that far, you gotta finish.
They were taking their time. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 4 years. It's not like we cruised through it, so.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell tales out of school, but I don't know. Those guys are trouble. Those grunt work guys are trouble.
Great
now,
intro.
you said you've got a fever, and the only prescription is Santa Claus's episode 2?
Yeah, I mean, this episode was so ground shaking that I have chills right now.
Wow, they're multiplying. Before we get into the episode proper, I wanted to ask you a question.
Okay. I wasn't ready for this.
No, you weren't. Of course, these days, John Hamm's playing Santa Claus in the commercials.
I was like, news to me.
There's some commercials, and John Hamm's playing Santa Claus. John Hamm's in a lot of commercials. He's playing Santa Claus.
On Fox commercials. Yeah. World Cup commercials.
So he's playing Santa Claus. Who's someone that you'd like to see play Santa Claus, either in a film or a commercial? Who do you think would be well suited to that?
I mean, I honestly love John Hamm, so I'm glad that he's doing it.
Me too. But throw out some other names.
I think I like the idea of Samuel Jackson doing Santa Claus.
Okay, all right.
Maybe a more adult version.
Oh, okay. Naughty. Not just naughty.
A lot more, swear words and stuff. I think that's kind of more of his jam. So
so Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, first name that comes to mind.
Okay, that'd be cool.
He's got a little bit more of the grumpy demeanor maybe down for this.
Okay.
Who else would I really enjoy to be Santa? Does Santa always have to be American? Can we throw somebody else in there?
I have a feeling that this television show will end with Santa not even being a man. So.
You think there was some foreshadowing in this?
I think there was some foreshadowing. I didn't mention it. I just thought of it. I'll bring it up in this episode. No, Santa Claus doesn't need to be American. He's a man of the world.
He's a man of the world. So maybe we do somebody from.
Okay, with you so far.
Yeah,
Charlize Theron, South Africa.
Ooh, yeah, getting a little bit more international flair there. I'm not sure. I mean, I suspect you have somebody in mind since this was a question you came up with, or maybe this was off the top of the noggin for you.
It wasn't exactly off the top of the noggin. I thought of it maybe a couple minutes ago when I was getting a sparkling water here. Sponsor, Trader Joe's. I was thinking. I feel like Michael Keaton's at about the right age to play Santa.
Sure, he could do anything.
He played Jack Frost.
Is that maybe a little too close to home?
I could see him not wanting to be typecast so late in his career. He's like, oh, what's next? They got me playing a Christmas tree.
They had him doing the Founder. They had him in doing the Vulture, and now he's Jack Frost.
Wow. Okay, so no Keaton. Okay. Then I guess probably Kramer from Seinfeld. That's my next idea.
And they're all good ideas.
They're all good.
Let's not even try to pick the best one.
No, it's John Hamm right now, and I also saw that David Harbour of Stranger Things fame is in like an action, almost
action
like
Santa.
Almost like Taken with Santa. So.
Nice. I liked him in The Black Widow. So
yes, yeah.
And
of course, all of this is a way to talk about the book I wrote. I'm just kidding.
Well, what I thought is I smell a poll coming on.
What was your alternative title last week with poll? And by last week, I mean like 20 minutes ago for us.
Shoot, what was
Sharp
it?
as a couple of tacks here.
Something.
It was good.
Yeah, it was. Trouble in Poladice.
And the fact that we couldn't remember that just shows, how off we.
This fever is doing weird things to me. We'll see what I remember the second episode.
Okay, well,
But I'm dedicated to the podcast. Was
no,
there any
whatever.
doubt?
No, not for me.
Okay, good.
For the listeners, I don't think so. So we've kind of answered the Santa Claus question. It would be Kramer or Samuel L. Jackson.
Charisse Theron or John Hamm or
Yeah.
David Harbour. Can you do 5?
You can't do, of course, these days Elon Musk bought Twitter. I don't know if you heard. Not talk about that. There was a day there where we could have gotten verified if we paid $8.
Oh man, we really missed our window.
I know.
I could have written that off as a business expense, guaranteed.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah, so here we are. We're back. They released both episodes in the same day. Thus, we watched them on the same day, and we're covering them on the same day.
We want to keep up in real time with everybody listening. So,
and this one is called Santa Claus Chapter 2, The Secessus Clause, and that's Secessus, Secessus. Another pretty bad title from the team here at the Santa Clauses
I
program.
guess I would say that if I were in a spelling bee, I would lose on that word.
Use it in a sentence.
Can I get the origin of the word, please? We're so funny.
Bird it.
Do they have passes in the spelling bee? Do you remember when? Do they still do the spelling bee on ESPN?
They still do it on ESPN.
Wow.
I think so.
Who's the reigning champ? We don't want to go down that rabbit hole, do we?
I don't know, but I have a feeling it's a child.
Are you sure it's not an elf?
Hey, who could say? I never enjoyed watching that as much as other people, probably because I was in real spelling bees, and I would always, I would always get to the very end and then lose.
Oh, you know what I used to do?
Cheat.
No, you know
Okay.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm an introvert.
I have heard, you took a quiz online and it came back like high introvert, so that's how
Hi,
you knew.
introvert. What's
Yeah.
my Myers-Briggs score?
ENFJ.
So that made me nervous being on the spotlight like that. So I
Yeah.
would, not that I think I would win those things, but I was an okay speller. I would lose on purpose after like a couple rounds. So
Wow, I would never do that. I would
I'm
lose.
throwing-
I,
and to
I
this
would lose
day-
on my own.
and to this day I've been investigated for several throwing the game type of incidents.
Oh yes. See, I had a streak where someone we both know, and I'll just go ahead and say her name because I know she's a listener. Monatic.
Oh yeah, she's a listener.
She's a listener.
I think we're
doubt
friends on Facebook. I'll make sure to DM her
Yeah,
this.
DM her. Let her know that she's on the mind. There was a couple of years there where she was just beating me in everything. There was a Christmas play where I very arrogantly tried out for the role of Santa, the lead.
Guess who was Santa the lead?
Yeah, Mo Natick.
Well, no, me. I also was Santa the lead.
Okay, but let's keep this. This
About
is
you,
Kind
sure,
This is
sorry.
kind of what I'm doing
Go
right
ahead.
now.
Yeah.
So she beat me out for that. I ended up having to play an elf. There was, ironically, I think a home improvement joke that I delivered as my line. So full circle moment. Wow. And then the very next year, she beat me in a spelling bee.
So she was kind of your nemesis?
Yeah, I don't think she probably felt that way.
No, she had your name like written up on a board and like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
coming
why
after this
she
guy.
started a competing Santa Claus's podcast, and she's trying to beat us in downloads.
That explains what I've seen on her Facebook feed recently.
Oh, man. Well,
It's amazing that both of us either were or tried out to be Santa Claus in the school play. That's all I
you
can
actually
say.
were. Was it? It was pretty satisfying for you. That kind of contradicts your previous statement about
Yeah,
being...
so let me tell you the background of the story and it all makes sense.
And the funny thing is, I think we've talked about all this before.
I don't remember
okay.
yours.
All right,
I
go
certainly
ahead.
think
Share
we've talked
yours.
about mine, but this is a good time to talk about it.
It is. Yeah.
First grade, I think it was. My family would take trips to Florida, often in the winter. So we did during the school play, so I missed that year. So in second grade, the music teacher thought, you know what, you missed last year. I'd like to make you the lead. To which I thought, that sounds like my nightmare. So I did have a nice red crew neck sweater that I got to wear, good beard. And
it was
I remember,
a real beard. You grew facial hair. Early.
Yeah, naturally. I mean, if you know me at all, I've been doing that for a long time. And I stuck a pillow under my sweatshirt and completed the whole effect. So I hated every second of that. And
Wow.
I probably never let the music teacher live it down. in my head. So
Wow,
also
okay.
my nemesis.
Put her on blast. What's her name?
I don't remember.
Yeah, right.
Mrs. O'Keefe, I want to say, maybe?
Hey, I didn't go to your elementary school, so I can't comment. But
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is I would have dominated that spelling bee over at Seifel.
I mean, we were just dumb. We were out in the country. We were dumber. It's just a fact. I mean, I probably only grew up about 3 or 4 miles from you, but night and day.
just a very different culture.
And of course, all of this leads us to chapter 2 of the Book of Santa Claus, entitled "The Secessus Clause." Do you have any
Sure
information on this one?
Yeah, this one written by Katie Colton. Both and Katie O'Brien. They kind of did this in tandem.
Oh, the Katies.
The Katies. Different spelling, though, so that's good. You can tell them apart by the spelling of their first name. Both on a few episodes of a show called Teachers as actresses. So they, this continues the trend of actresses crossing over into writing. Also, Katie O'Brien, I have no idea what this is about, but she starred in something, or I think maybe either wrote or starred or both, in something called Carl the Exorcist. Might be a special episode that we do after the Santa Clauses.
I don't know. I thought we were doing Duncanville, but talk about it.
Just depends. So,
well,
yeah,
that
I don't
sounds
have
good.
much other than that. Like you said, it aired the same night, November 16th, 2022. And the synopsis is, Scott considers his children as potential successors in the role of Santa, but they're more interested in exploring the world outside of the North Pole. That's a spoiler alert right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jeez, Pete. I don't even need to watch the episode now. What a waste of my time.
Stellar VR bait and switch.
Payoff. So I guess we're at alternative titles. I've got 3 this time.
5.
Of course you do. Go ahead.
All right, this one, I probably should only have 4. But this one, here it is. Charlie Claus.
Well, at least you delivered it in that voice.
That's why I did it, yeah.
All right, I got a really strong vibe of this, so I just had to write it, even though it's not like a great title.
Okay.
Family over everything.
FOE.
Yeah. I mean, the elves were kind of taking it on the chin this episode.
Yeah, and in the end, I hate to bring it back to Dom Toretto, Fast and the Furious, but family's everything.
Yeah. I think you do want to bring it back there. That's why you keep doing it.
All right, my next one, the kids aren't all right.
Oh, I like that.
Thank you.
Is there a doctor in the workshop?
That was a question once. The senior citizen Santa.
Oh, that's like a Polly Pocket potty party kind of joke. All right, my last one has to do with, I think, the opening part of this episode, the Santa sense.
The Santa sense. Is that... You're going to have to explain that one to me.
It's like the Sixth Sense, of course.
Oh!
Cal
Right.
opens the episode and he knows there's something wrong with his dad.
Right. That was interesting.
He's got the Santa sense.
All right, 2 more. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his drone. And, this is it is what it is. Noel, thanks.
Oh, strong
Episode
entry.
1 is different than episode 2.
Strong entry into that one. We
Maybe
should
we're
probably just
feeling
keep singing all the Christmas songs we know with putting drone in there, like jingle drones, jingle drones, jingle.
It doesn't get any easier to do either the alt titles or the taglines for this Christmas stuff because there's very few holiday stones we haven't turned over.
That is the truth. Well, let's turn over the stones of this episode, huh?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I know you wouldn't even try. So we should start with the Santa sense, right? Like Cal suddenly gets a feeling, opens his eyes, he was asleep, and something's wrong with Santa. And this is proven correct when the elves realize that like Santa's down or whatever, and like all chaos. Like Crouton was losing his mind in that.
Well, hey Jordan, it's Code Sprinkle.
Cold Sprinkle.
Not cold, code.
Maybe both. Cold Sprinkles and Code Sprinkles.
Hey, I have a comment early on, and it's a complaint about
I will not
the
allow
show.
it.
Okay.
You will not complain.
All right, I'll wait till the end.
No, go
No,
ahead.
it's like there's not enough Christmas music in this show.
Yeah. I will say, for being a Christmas show, there's not the vibe.
It doesn't even feel Christmassy.
Yeah, you get a lot of, like, the Eye of the elf or whatever he did, Eye of the Santa, or what was it, reindeer? I don't know. Was that just a joke you made, or did they actually change the lyrics? I don't remember.
They didn't change the lyrics. It was Eye of the Kringle or something, I think.
That sounds right. And then, like, elves just want to have fun.
Yeah,
so those are not Christmas traditional ballads or anything?
No. They need more.
Doing?
It doesn't, like, just because you're showing a bunch of Christmas imagery and talking about, like, made-up Christmas stuff, you gotta have the music.
Set the ambiance.
I hope, and it's not like that stuff's expensive. Like, it's all kind of like, probably a lot of it's public domain. Why don't they just use it?
I know some websites they could use.
We could put them in the direction of some really good, like, intro music. In any case, there's a break cupcake in case of emergency joke with code sprinkle. That do anything for you?
Just kind of gross. Like, why? Why do you have to shove your hands into a cupcake to?
I would say eat cupcake in case of emergency. That's what I do.
There might be a choking hazard there. So as long as they put like a sign, no elves were harmed in the.
Yeah, right. Twitter demanded it. It was like, you guys have to do this. There's the Santa Claus is like the card is inside the original one, but they've added a little bit of text to this.
Yeah, who did that?
The first one, the Mrs. Claus. What's that?
What do you mean the Mrs. Claus?
They added there's a Mrs. Claus on the card.
Well, we already knew that though.
We did?
Yeah, that happened in the second movie.
Well, I guess we should brush up.
Color me confused.
All right. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't remember that.
What'd you make of Noel's way of waking up Santa? I didn't know he had this kind of voice.
Okay, well, at first I thought he was gonna like blow in his ear. I was glad he didn't do that.
Oh, he did something like that.
It's pretty intimate. He screams, right? Or
he's got some sort of, I don't know, like elf echo powers or something, and he just wakes up Santa. So,
do you think their rapport is good, Noel and Santa?
I think it varies.
Yeah. All right.
I think we know that Tim doesn't love working with children, so it's always funny
I was thinking about that a lot in some of his scenes with Noel.
Yeah.
It was like, he's just like really ready for the take to be done.
Yeah, so we do hear about the Secessus clause, right? So yes. Santa returns and he's informed of this, and
it's supposed to be kept a secret, but Noel cracks pretty quickly.
Yeah, we're shocked by that. So. But, I mean, they kind of lay the groundwork in the first episode for retirement. And Santa, I guess, is starting to think about this. And he's like, maybe, and I didn't really understand this. I guess he doesn't want to let go of the Christmas aspect of his life.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I want to stay in the North Pole. So maybe I could just give it to my kids.
It is interesting. I would just say before that, they like when they see the Santa Claus, there's an addendum that essentially gives him a clean way out should he decide to take it.
Doesn't have to die. That's nice.
I think previously that was the idea, and it's a much shorter cold open. We do get your opening credits, and then we kind of get into the retirement stuff. But yeah, it's like the second year in a row that something bad has happened. It's basically like, Dad, you've fallen twice. We need to put you in a home.
That's right. We can't take care of you anymore, and you can't take care of yourself. So
he looks like in this episode, I thought, like with the bulky gear, he looks like that really bad episode of Home Improvement where he's jacked with Jill. Like that. It's like one of our least favorite ones. I can't remember the title.
Yeah, and some people got mad at us for not liking that one.
Hey, you know what? People are gonna like what they're gonna like. Yeah. So basically, this is the episode.
Yeah, he gets like a binder, of all the people. It sounds like they've been planning for this for a long time, which is a bit strange. Peyton
Manning is maybe... They don't open the binder.
No, we're going to see that next episode, I suppose. Because first he's like, no, I'm going to my kids. And we cut to Simon and Grace. This is where we get your drones. And he's delivering like the next great idea for delivery now. Is drones, and the investors are kind of laughing at him, and then a drone appears after somebody says what they wanted, so he's kind of like proving good on his promise, but the drone kind of gets out of control, a la iRobot. This is an iRobot situation where everyone's lives are in danger.
Yes. I would also say shame on him for bringing his daughter in his meetings pitch. His daughter's in the room like with him, presenting to all these executives. I don't know.
Yeah, she kind of sealed the deal, though. So.
She kind of did. I mean, it's working for him, but his new delivery system is drones. It's a joke. It's gonna drive Santa Claus out of business. It can deliver anything in 60 minutes or less, which kind of a frightful idea for our future. The girl says, "Daddy can deliver on his promises."
This is a weird, a weird way of using your daughter. Yeah. So the drone breaks through the window. Everyone's scared, and we get Tim on his way. Scott Calvin on his way. Santa on his way to Florida, and I was pretty mad because he didn't stop by and see me.
Well, and I think it was a deleted scene. So
you gotta buy the deluxe edition to get me in there.
It's sort of a Havana Santa, I would say. He
looks good.
It looks good. Yeah.
They make a Jurassic Park joke here.
Okay, I didn't even catch that. This was this episode again, maybe even more so than the first, is just very quick, short scenes. One thing we should say earlier that we missed is when he's talking about successors and his children, it does show. He mentions Charlie, and he shows footage of Charlie from the first movie.
Another nice moment.
So
yeah.
But that go ahead and talk about Florida and why Santa's there, Jordan.
Well, yeah. So he's got the Jurassic Park outfit on of, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy who started Jurassic Park. So there's a joke there.
Isn't it Doc Martin?
So we get Santa delivering this, and at first I was very confused because Charlie's wife Marie is confused that Santa is Santa. She thinks Santa's a shrimp fisherman. So when he says, "I want you to go into the family business," she kind of flies off the handle. She's not interested in that life.
It's kind of clumsily executed, though.
I was confused for a good 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's like she says fish, and I'm like, fish, okay, like
North Pole fish,
like walrus at the north. Like it took a while. I think it's kind of funny when it actually gets there, but I don't know if the execution was great.
Yeah.
Charlie is played, of course, the same actor.
This part's for us.
Yeah, and I was happy to see him. And you know what? I think we kind of dunked on him in the Santa Claus 2 for maybe not being a stellar actor as he got older. But I thought he acquitted himself pretty well in these scenes.
He did just fine. And then we do get, in the first movie, I think he talks about at the end, he wants to go into the family business. So it's a nice callback. It just doesn't pay off here because he knows that raising a child at the North Pole just doesn't work. And we're going to get that a lot starting now.
And he's got 2 kids of his own.
Yeah, they're adorable. They enjoy Florida.
Kids love Florida.
They do. Yeah. I would know.
Yeah, you would know.
Yeah, so Santa leaves. He's kind of spurned here. He respects his decision and he bounces. We get to some more. You talked about a lot of Mrs. Claus. We're getting some Mrs. Claus
especially
here.
In this one. Yeah, this episode's very Mrs. Claus centric. So
Mrs. Claus and Betty. They're talking about past Mrs. Clauses, but Betty will not give up the information. Because Santa and Mrs. Claus, and this is probably what you're pointing to as the foreshadowing moment, they're not viewed as people, but single immortal entities, which is kind of a lot for a kid show to wrap your mind around. So,
yeah, this is a kid show that tackled. I think the first episode it tackled impotence and now retirement, and hey, we're talking all kinds of heady stuff
anymore. And,
but yeah, they do there is sort of a brief moment where it's sort of set up why could you be Santa or would you something like that, and I don't know, just follow the breadcrumbs. We'll see where that leads. But
and we do get here Santa comes back and we get a quick conversation between Betty and Santa, saying they did a study or something about kids raised at the North Pole, of which there are 2, Cal and Sandra, and they end up being really weird.
Yeah, that was a funny joke.
Yeah. So Betty is tactful in the way she delivers her news sometimes. So
we see Cal using his VR. This dopes. He's always using his VR.
This dope.
He's played very dopey.
Yes.
There's kind of he talks with his dad, and they mentioned going ice fishing, and I'm wondering, Cal ice fishing, Houghton Lake maybe.
Probably.
Interesting thought.
Yeah, and I think they're going on a hike or something.
There's a hike.
Sleigh ride.
He mentions he has dreams where he's Santa. But yeah, they do a sleigh ride. Cal drives, and I was thinking maybe Comet could show up and fart again, or Chet rather.
I think Comet was mentioned in the first episode, but I couldn't remember the context. So I don't know. There maybe was a fart joke that went past us.
Okay, well,
better than lingering, if you know what I mean.
Whoa, wouldn't be the first time. I was kind of wondering here if they made the Cal just a little too out of it, a little too weird. I don't know. I feel like these kids are. I know the point is to establish how closed off they are, but they almost seem like they would have trouble being real people, which maybe that's the idea. They're not real people, but I don't know. He's pretty out of it.
I can see that. Yeah, and I don't remember exactly what happens. I think they crash or whatever with the sleigh. And
yeah, they crash, and like Cal puts his VR on right away. He's like, it's basically like this kid can't function unless he's got these goggles on, and he puts them back on, and like Santa leaves. I don't know. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a commentary on like young people or whatever, but if so, it's quite heavy handed and kind of, I don't know, strains credulity.
It works more into the plot in a little bit, but up to this point, they're really playing that trope pretty well. So we get another quick scene. Talk about quick scenes here. We're like learning that Grace saw her dad, learns that her dad has seen Santa's sleigh, and that Santa's real, and that was kind of like what he was saying, was not true earlier on. So
Cal kind of talks to his daughter like it's like she's like
20, yeah,
or like his wife even. It's kind of like a weird, it's sort of a awkward dynamic. I think they need to get him in some scenes with like other like adults he can play off of, because he's delivering this exposition like it's like just like a kid.
I don't remember. Is it here or later that she shows off her?
It's here, the locket.
The locket. So we do learn that her mom has passed away, I guess.
Yep.
So that is why we haven't seen her to this point, and I guess accounts for their close relationship. But we also learn of very quickly. We learn of an orb.
Oh, they're talking about acute squawk syndrome.
Well, maybe. Yeah. But I'm more interested in that orb that kind of shows how the Christmas spirit is going. We get our first mention of Bernard here. He kind of left this around. So
yeah, it's just like it's hard. There's a couple things here. They mention, all right, so Noel comes in and he does have acute squawk syndrome, kind of a bad joke. And then they're kind of talking about like, there's a brief mention of like, well, we tried to duplicate him. That didn't work out. So that's like a Santa Claus 2 reference. And then Betty mentions the globe and Bernard. So they're sort of right in the like one scene. There's like a bunch of references, and then maybe a second later, Santa mentions like going to war with Jack Frost in Santa Claus 3. So they really throw these.
I want to make sure you know about the Santa Claus universe.
Yeah, these Easter eggs in very quickly.
Well, there's also a mention here of the last time that the globe looked this dark or whatever, and they talk about the 14th century. I was like, oh man, we're talking about like the Black Death right now. Okay, well that's an interesting turn of events.
I thought so too. I was like, are we gonna? What are they gonna do with this? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been kind of wondering if the show is like gonna mention COVID at all, or if that's gonna play in. I just feel like when they mentioned the plague, I thought maybe they will.
Yeah, and they say at that same moment that Santa got really angry, which I kind of just went past. So I don't really know what to make of that. Is there some sort of myth of Santa getting angry in the 14th century? I don't know, and I don't think we'll find out. So.
I've read a couple of books on the plague, and they don't mention Santa Claus's role in it often.
Kind of a strange omission.
Yeah, they weren't very good books. They weren't peer-reviewed, so...
So Noel mentions that there's a snow globe place to go check out.
Depository kind of thing, or repository?
Check on the world spirit. How convenient.
Yeah.
And we find so Scott goes over there, Santa goes over there. I guess they don't really ever call him Scott, they call him Santa.
Yeah, there's no Scott. This is kind of where I thought the show looked a little cheap. Maybe this part of the episode. I don't know. I just feel like some of the stuff looks stupid. But.
Yeah. So they it's like a big warehouse type of room. And who do you find? Cal and Sandra, his children.
Sandra has not been given much to do at this point in the show.
She's just kind of a weird animal girl.
Yeah, we don't really know her identity or what she stands for. I think there was maybe something in the first episode where she wants to like release reindeer who are like held captive. So yeah, I think young kind of bleeding heart, maybe that's a depiction, but we don't know much about these kids at all. So.
No, but we do learn here a lot about these characters.
What a friggin' reveal.
Man, so Cal, will you believe it? He's always had this on. What's he been playing? This VR set? He's been playing like mowing the lawn or going to the post office, just doing normal stuff.
Which are things we hate doing. They're so mundane.
But he's just so far removed that he just wants to be essentially Pinocchio, a real boy.
What is this? Does this do anything for you? I mean, I guess, right? It puts a spin on it. I don't know.
I'm glad it was not. He's just like distracted by his VR set, I guess. So
I guess I'm glad. Does this mean the VR stuff's done? Because if that's the case, then I'm glad that this is revealed. Otherwise, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're gonna hit the ground running with some different stuff here. So maybe no more VR. So
all right, family meeting. Hey, you've had a lot of these over the years, probably
weekly.
Family meeting. Hey, the North Pole's not great, and this is where we get sort of like it was shown in the trailer. But for the good of Christmas and the good of my family, I'm going to step down and make some changes. And he formally announces his retirement.
Yeah, and the elves at first are kind of dumbfounded. And then they go into a panic.
Like most things, like had I have not seen this in a trailer, probably more effective.
Sure. I got another alternative title.
Okay, I'm listening.
Panic at the North Pole. Instead of Panic at the Disco.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Sure.
Yeah, that's not bad. After he announced his retirement, Mrs. Claus, there's been some references to her not being able to like let her hair down, so she quite literally does that. And like things like shoot around the room.
A lot of hairpins.
Yeah.
No one gets like pinned to the...
I don't know if I'm like looking for something here, but was this like an orgasm joke or no?
I did not read it that way. I don't think... No,
I felt like when she was like letting her hair go and there was, I don't know. I'm looking for things that aren't there.
Well, you had we had the first episode, so they kind of led you down that path.
I want this show to be sexier.
Well, I think she does too. That's why she let her hair down.
Lets her hair down. She looks great. She looks like a different woman. I don't have a lot more notes here. Do you have what else do you have? They start looking for the suitable replacement. And there's some concern over that. Mm-hmm. We go to Cal Penn, Simon, and Grace, and he Googles.
He's Googling
Santa Claus. It's an embarrassing thing for an adult to Google. Does Santa Claus exist? There's like I like it when he shows like the Santa video, and it's kind of like a
the Bigfoot.
One of those Bigfoot videos.
I wrote that down. That was pretty funny.
That was funny.
Yeah, and then we get Edie the elf, another appearance who like just appears in their house, is creeping them out. We have another marauder in the house, so they're trying to get to the safe room, but she can, teleport. So she says, "You're going to the North Pole," and then she knocks them out with glitter, which I thought was a interesting move.
It's weird. He mentions right before that he wants just the same thing. He wants to recreate Santa's delivery system. Are we to think that this Edie thing is this like sanctioned through Santa Claus, or is she kind of doing a nefarious thing? Oh, is she going
rogue?
That's what I'm wondering.
Rogue elf.
Yeah,
which I think was a video that Ben Weber recorded.
Yeah, I would imagine it was. Yeah, I remember that.
Pretty sure that might be on YouTube.
Oh man,
I think you might have starred in it as well.
I do remember being in it. Yeah.
Well, let's see if we can dig that up for our listeners.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm always happy to find old videos. So
yeah. I don't know. I guess I kind of assumed that this was the start of them going through all the potential replacements.
Okay. See, I kind of took it as maybe like because. I feel like her and Santa's relationship thus far has been a bit adversarial, so maybe she's like kind of...
She's probably just happy to get rid of him.
Maybe, and that is... This episode went fast, but that is roll credits fade to black on episode 2, the Secessus clause.
Secessus clause, yeah. We used to call this Castle's Corner in honor of one of our most generous patrons.
Yeah, but now it's just highs and lows.
Yeah, I'm still going to call it Castle's Corner.
Okay, all right. Yeah. I'll start. You
sure.
went first last time. All right, so highs, good to see Charlie. I liked it. I was happy to see Charlie.
Eric Lloyd.
Eric Lloyd.
He's
good to
high
get
in this
Florida.
episode.
Yep, good to see him. I think it's good that Mrs. Claus has more to do. I don't know. I'm kind of like with this show. I'm kind of just happy when adults are talking in scenes. I feel like it's so.
They're rounding out her character a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So I'm enjoying that.
We'll see if Cal becomes a little bit less crazy. I don't know. A little less
and
off
then
the
my
wall.
last note is, I guess the VR thing is clever. Like I didn't see that coming, so
sure.
maybe that's smart.
And you're not willing really to admit it. Like you don't like to be fooled, or So
I'm smarter than most shows I watch. So,
yeah, you saw this coming a mile away. Yeah, no, it paid off okay for
Yeah.
as well as something's gonna pay off. So, do you have any other highs and lows?
Yeah, I haven't gone through my lows yet.
Okay.
Lows. It's kind of annoying. The scenes are too short. I felt like this episode was sort of tedious. By the time I was done watching it, and maybe it was because I'd watched them both back to back, I was like, I need a break from this.
Yeah, that might have been a problem watching them both back to back. You need a good week to let that first one soak in.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's the result of them releasing two on one day or what, but I did find this one a little tedious. I don't know if any of the new characters are working for me that well. I guess Betty is okay.
You think Noel's kind of, after the first episode where he was doing a little bit better, you didn't like him as much?
A little tedious in this one.
I did like him in the tree. We didn't mention that.
Okay, what was he doing in the tree?
He was like eavesdropping on their family meeting or whatever. He starts like shaking in the tree, crying.
It's so darn hard to keep up with this because it just moves so fast.
I didn't even mention how strange those fireplaces are. The creepiest fireplaces.
Shaped like Santa Claus's mouth or something?
Yeah, they're huge. It's terrifying.
Well, you had something like that installed.
It's like the Chamber of Secrets.
Yay. I also have this is kind of this maybe doesn't make sense, but like the episodes move very quickly, but I also feel like this episode, nothing was really accomplished, you know? Like, I feel like we know he's going to retire, so like,
the only thing that happens is he rules out his family.
Okay, I suppose you're right in the VR thing. I felt like at the end of this episode, it's like, well, here we are in a pretty similar position to the first one, but I suppose you're right. And then just my last note of something we brought up at the beginning is this doesn't feel as Christmassy as it should.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah, and I don't have a lot of other notes besides what you discussed.
Yeah, as lows.
Let me see if I can think of anything you hadn't mentioned. Like I mentioned, I enjoyed Eric Lloyd in this, so that was nice. And I did like Santa in a little bit different of an outfit. It felt more of what the series has been since he hasn't really been doing Santa stuff, or like it hasn't felt very Christmassy. He was just in the Florida gear. Yeah. So I thought that was a good look for Santa.
Yeah. I might be ready for them to step away from the North Pole, like for a while. I don't know. I think the first movie worked so well because it's like you get a lot of like real world like life stuff, like going to Denny's or whatever, or just general, I don't know, living. I'd like to see Wendy and Judge Reinhold and just sort of get some more real world stuff, because the best part of this episode was the stuff with Charlie in Florida.
Yeah.
Right?
I think maybe it will be a little bit more interesting going forward, because we've got like a few scenes coming up of like all the potential replacements.
Yeah.
We know Bernard's coming. I don't know when, but he's coming.
It's going to be a bummer when that's like a 3-minute scene.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's something to look forward to here.
Sure.
I don't have a lot else to say besides what you said, but
in general, are you, after episode 1, are you more, less, or like the same in terms of positivity after episode 2?
Probably about the same. I think I would have been higher, but they ended that last episode on Santa falling on his face, and I was a bit turned off by that. So
okay, all right, got it.
They brought me down a peg at the end.
That's fair. I guess I'm a little lower after this one. I just found it kind of...
And I didn't enjoy... Like, you enjoyed the Eye of the Kringle, and you enjoyed the elves dancing and throwing up and stuff, because that's kind of your brand.
I love vomit humor. Always have.
So I think I maybe didn't like the first episode as much as you did, and so this one maybe I liked more than you did.
Got it. Understood. Well, hey, that's that. Roll credits fade to black on the Secessus clause, a.k.a. Jordan, a.k.a. the kids aren't all right.
Is there a doctor in the workshop?
Normally at this part of the show we talk Twitter, but I don't have a lot different than what I said in the last episode. But go ahead and follow us at Home and Podcast on Twitter, and we'll have some polls and some fun, and we'll be talking the Santa Clauses for the next 5 weeks or something. So
it's gonna be a great 5 weeks. So I'm glad you're along, listeners, for this sleigh ride, and if I, like
what are
you
we
said,
talking next week?
Into the Wobbly Wood, Chapter 3.
Slightly better title. Into
the Woods. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know what kind of wood they're going in, but here we are.
Well, hey, this is the Thanksgiving episode, so right. Thanksgiving Eve, you'll probably be out at the bar with all your high school buddies. Hey, if you see Moan Addict, tell her I'm still mad at her.
I'm gonna download this episode on a flash drive. Just hand it to her. Listen to this when you get home.
Listen. 3 minutes in.
Burn after listening.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, hey, Jordan, it's been a pleasure. We've been back. This has been kind of a crash course in podcasting immersion. 2 episodes in a row after not doing a lot for quite a while. But hey, I think it went well enough. Reasonably funny, you know?
And that's all that really matters. So.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week with Chapter 3, Into the Wobbly Wood. Until then, I'll say, Jordan, thank you for joining me. Listeners, thank you for listening. And I guess I should say, take care.
Take care, everybody.